So I remember when it was around a year and a half ago, I was in a call with my friend. He's an editor as well, and we were both growing in the space. We had edited for about a year at the time, and I'd started getting clients. He had started getting clients, and I'll be honest, I was obsessed. I was in full time education at the time, and I was going through that transition where I started caring less and less about the education system and more about this editing thing that I had been trying on the side. I'd started making around a K, 2K at the time, and basically my entire day was dedicated to editing. When I'd wake up, it would be before school started, of course, but I'd fit in half an hour before I actually got ready to go to school, and I would spend that time editing. On the way to school, I'd be in the car and I'd be watching a video about editing. I'd be in class and I would literally be sitting in class doing outreach. When I'd be in my breaks, I'd be talking to my friends. They'd be talking about what's going on social media. They'd be talking about this other girl, and sometimes I'd get involved. But honestly, the thing I liked talking about most was editing. Basically, my entire life was editing. I'd get back home, I'd try to edit, but I mean, if I wasn't too tired, but I would still like stay up late at night just to edit. Sometimes doing all nighters, and during this time, I was told many times over and over again that I was doing it too much, that I was obsessed, and the biggest one was that it was unhealthy. And I actually got this initially from my family, and I think it's because they were there live in person to see my health objectively deteriorate while I was staying up late at night to edit, or they would see me just sitting at my desk all day. And I got where they were coming from, but the only thing that was running through my head is, but I like it. They kept telling me that I had to have balance and that I was working too much. But to me, it wasn't work. It was like, yeah, I'm making money and I'm doing this thing, but honestly, I was doing it for free. I would have done it for free anyways. In fact, I was just a few years ago when I would edit Fortnite montages for fun. I think the reason that so many people will look at us and think that what we're doing is unhealthy or what we're doing is obsessive is we see work in a different way. You've clicked on this video because you want to be able to work. Most people would read the title like how to work this long and they would think like, oh, that's the last thing I would want to do. But the reason you clicked was because you actually have a desire to work. It's not that you don't like working, it's that you like working but you want to be able to get it done. It's like there's things stopping you from working harder. When there's people in your life that tell you that you shouldn't work how much you want to work, I personally wouldn't listen to it. Not because they're a bad person, but for them, work is like this negative, evil, soul sucking thing in their life where they have to wake up at a time that they don't want to, where they have to commute a commute that they don't like to go on, they have to speak to people that they don't like, under a boss that they fucking hate, for a pay that they don't like. Like, work to most people is this thing that is almost a hindrance to their lives. But as you get into entrepreneurship, which editing is entrepreneurship, you realize work is actually a beautiful thing. And for this video, I want to teach you, or at least share my lessons where I've been able to motivate myself to work pretty much every single day for the last 3 years. I'm someone that understands the importance of breaks, but I've never had a break which was a week long, 2 weeks long. And not because I think that taking a break is a bad thing, but because I don't see the need in a long break if what you're doing is genuinely for fun. It's like if I asked you, do you like speaking to your friends? And you were like, yes, I like speaking to my friends. And I said, okay, take a 2 week break from speaking to your friends. And you'd be like, wait, why? And I'm like, oh, it's good for you, trust me. And you're like, no, I want to speak to my friends. It's like, that's how the people who do really well and the people that have the work ethic and have the success that you want, they see work like that. They see it as like, people are telling me not to work. But it's like, why? Like, I enjoy this thing. And I had a friend 2 years ago, so one friend in specific, who was an editor as well, and he told me to take a break because it would have been healthy. And I explained this concept to him that, like, I don't like taking a break. And there's a bit of a darker side to this where not only is it that it's nice, like, oh, I enjoy work and stuff, But let's say that even if I didn't enjoy work, and this is exactly what I said to him, even if I didn't enjoy work for about 1 week and I wanted to take a break, nobody cares. Like, the world keeps spinning. If I just told my client, hey, I'm not going to be working for a week, and it's like, it's not said in a way which is because I actively chose to take a break. It's more, oh, I burnt out, or I'm like tired or whatever. The client will just go find someone else. If I don't outreach to the creators that I want to work with, someone else will. Just because I want to take a break doesn't mean the world stops. People are still getting clients, videos are still needing to be made, money is still being moved around the world. Like, you're just actively moving out. And here's the thing, it's not like when you join back, it's just, we'll just start again. I'm back from my break. Once again, the world has moved on. Your clients who you dropped to take a break have found other editors. And just because you're back and like, oh, I want to work with you again, doesn't be like, bro, I've moved on. It's like, yeah, a break is useful, but I think it's a much healthier way. And this is going to be quite controversial, but I think it's actually healthier to be at a point where you don't feel the need to take long breaks. As in, when you're on holiday, and you might relate to this, when I go on holidays, I actually enjoy working. Like, sure, I don't do like an entire deep work session or whatever, but like, I'll be there and I'll want to think about work. And I like talking about my editing stuff, and I like talking about business, and I like reading, and I like watching videos about entrepreneurship. Like, I do that in my spare time. And I think the reason I've been able to do it for 3 years consistently, without stopping, without taking a break, working long ass hours, is I have a reason why. Your brain is basically almost like a pleasure optimizing machine. Well, it optimizes pleasure, and it also tries to optimize for the least amount of its opposite, which is the most amount of pleasure and the least amount of pain. Your brain doesn't see editing any different to a video game, and it doesn't see that any different to speaking with family, and doesn't see that any different to a TV show or YouTube, or it doesn't see that any different as doing exercise. Like, your brain doesn't see an activity for what it is. It just sees it as, I get enjoyment from this thing, or I get pain from this thing. Think about a habit that you have that you aren't that proud of. So whether it be a bad habit that you've tried to stop in the past, or one that like you have stopped, or just think of a bad habit that is personal to you. Genuinely think about one. So whether it be bad eating, maybe it's you spending too long watching content, maybe it's you sleeping late. The reason you haven't stopped doing that habit is because at a fundamental level, you are either gaining pleasure from it, or it hides away pain somewhere else. And if work isn't the thing that is giving you pleasure or taking away pain, you won't be motivated to work. I used to be a big Fortnite gamer. Like, I used to play a lot of Fortnite, which is like this video game. And I was addicted. Like, I would play for literally 6, 7, 8 hours a day. I would watch videos about Fortnite, how to get better. I would like play these maps, these games where it wasn't even with other people. It was just to improve like one mechanic of the game, where like you click a button at a certain speed, and like you make the same movement like 100 times to practice it. Like, I was obsessed. And it's because there was pleasure derived from it, where I would gain status because when I beat someone else, I felt good about it. And when other people would say like, oh, Sayeef, you're so good at this, whatever, I would gain status from that. It would fulfill that need of like competition and winning. That was the pleasure that was derived from that game. But more than that, it took away the bad things in my life. And that sounds strange, but video games were this thing that it made the rest of my world disappear. So in a weird way, I could have problems with my family. Fortnite would take that away, because while I'm playing Fortnite, I don't need to think about them. If I have a shit social life while I was playing Fortnite, didn't matter. Oh, I'm like the fucking king of this game. It's like I have a social life in here. When I go out in the real world, I don't. Well, I didn't. That was painful. This got rid of it. So like Fortnite to my brain was a thing that gives me pleasure, takes away pain. And that's why it was so hard for me to quit. As soon as I managed to make work the thing that does these two things, so gives you pleasure and takes away pain, that was the day, not the day, it took me about a year. That was when I just was able to transition from being a gamer to genuinely editing as if it was a video game. Most editors struggle to even sit down and work. I struggle to get up. As in, I would do this for fun. Like, it is my game. The same way I used to grind a game, I grind editing. That's just like, I have unlimited motivation for editing. Think back to the last time that you actually got a video done and you were able to work for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. It's not healthy, but think about the time that you did that in like one sitting. You probably had at least one where maybe you even stayed up late at night, you did an all-nighter just to work. And it's like, most times you can't even stop distracting yourself, you can't even sit yourself down to work, but this one day, you were able to just sit and work. It was most likely because you had a deadline to do. You were genuinely improving, so you saw progress, and that progress, your brain sort of realized like, oh, that means I will make more progress in editing, meaning I will make more money. But oftentimes, more than not, it's because there was a bad thing that we're trying to run away from. In fact, literally just last night, I was working on a video for The Sidemen. So one of my clients is a channel with 20-something million subscribers. I don't know the exact number. I had one day to finish the video, finish the animations. It was past the deadline and I had not started the video. And I'll be honest, it was because I was kind of scared to start it. Those animations usually take me an entire day, or honestly sometimes 2 days. I got it done in about 4 hours. And here's the thing, it was better than my usual animations. In fact, I think I can actually bring them up now. I'm just going to pause the recording and bring up the animations I made. But yeah, I've got the project file up now. But essentially, what I do is the animations on these videos. And I was just able to create animations like these where you've got like sort of cool stuff happening with IRL videos. You've got all of this stuff going up. So here's an animation. Ignore the music being super loud. We haven't mastered the audio yet.
Like Candyland, isn't it? Candyland. Yeah, okay. Yeah. We're gonna cook up the boys some of spaghetti and bolognese. Elf.
But it's like you've just got these cool ass animations. You've got this where I made Simon super tall. So originally he's not actually like 50 feet tall, but I was able to make him seamlessly look like really tall. And it's like these stupid animations where you've got like things like this where these are the animations that I was making. And if I just put up there we are, back to the OG camera. But yeah, like I only had a few hours to make that, and honestly they came out fucking amazingly. And the reason was because I had a deadline. I did not have a choice to do anything but get it done. Like, it was either I finish this now, or I do not get it done and I get fucked. Yeah, I probably wouldn't get fired, but like, if it happened too often, yeah, I'd get fired. So it's like, the fact that there was a negative thing, my brain realized that oh, if you don't work, negative thing will happen. Therefore, the fact that you are editing is a pathway to you running away or optimizing for the minimum negative thing in your life. Editing was that thing. That is a very specific example, but there's certain negative things that we're all trying to run away from, and they're not universal, but everyone has some. And deadlines is the most obvious, where you've got almost the shame that you're running away from. So the shame that you would feel from the client when he says like, bro, where's the video and you're not done. But you also have the things out in your actual life. I'm gonna close this window because there's like fireworks going on outside. Okay, cool. I didn't grow up in like a rich household, and I mean, just to prove it, I've told stories before of the laptop that I used to work on, it was my dad got it for school. It was like a really shitty budget one. I still had to edit on that, and I used I used to have to put it in the freezer just for it to render and not overheat. I would do shit like smearing water on the back of my laptop so that it would evaporate quicker and it would take off heat. Like this is the stupid shit I would have to do just to make my laptop work, and I hated that. It was painful. It was painful. Like it was a negative thing in my life, and to me, I kind of naturally bridged the gap of if I edit, I will be able to get clients. If I get clients, I'll have money. If I have money, I'll be able to get a PC, which I used to watch those top 10 PC setup tours and top 5 minimal gaming setups for $10,000. And it's like, I would watch those YouTube videos and I would be so jealous because I couldn't afford it. And that was a part of my motivation for why I wanted to work. And there were just a ton of little things, little negatives in my life that I saw editing as a solution for. I would go out with my friends and everyone's ordering food and I would have to say like I'm not sure what I want to get or I'm not going to get anything. I'd say I'm not hungry, and the reason wasn't because I'm not hungry, it was because I couldn't afford it, because I checked my bank account and I just couldn't afford to spend my last like $20 on £20 on like eating out with my friends. Felt embarrassed. Editing, oh, if I edit I make money, I no longer have to have that negative experience. I felt very insecure around women, and this is a stupid thought looking back at it, but it wasn't really stupid. But like my brain kind of thought, oh, if I have money, like I remember it was, I'm not gonna give exact details, but like there was a girl in first year college, she liked me, I liked her, and speaking to her, and then she just one day turned around and was like, yo, I don't actually like you that much, and we never spoke again. Yeah, I kind of glossed over it, but it mentally fucked me. And I remember how resentful I was for her, and because I was younger, it was only a few years ago, but because I was younger, I think I went about it in like a very unhealthy-ish way, where I was like, oh fuck this girl, like I'm just gonna like make money, whatever. And honestly, part of me editing was I wanted to prove her wrong, prove to her that, oh, it's her loss, whatever. And was it a stupid motivation? Maybe. Did it work? Yes. And I'll be honest, my dating life is a lot better now that I have money. Money will not get you women, but it sure does help in treating the women that you like better. My family. So I grew up watching my family struggle with bills. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Who knows? But seeing that genuinely fucking hurt. Seeing my parents fight because of bills fucking pained me, and I was like, oh, editing is this thing where it makes money, oh, I can like contribute to the bills one day if I make money editing. It's like, so when I would open up Premiere and I had all these little things where, oh, editing was a way out, how much more motivated would I be in order for me to get rid of those bad things, and editing was that thing. And it's like, when you bridge these gaps, when you build all these connections of like, oh, editing helps me because of this, 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 it becomes a lot easier to sit down and actually work. Because yes, there will be days you're motivated, but there will be days that you aren't. And it's like, objectively nothing bad will happen if you don't work. Like you don't have a deadline, and the video is due 1 week from now, and you can't find the motivation to work. It's like, nothing bad will happen to you if you don't do it, and that's why you're not motivated to work. But it's the fact that nothing bad will happen to you today if you don't work. You will still have bad things that will happen to you if you don't work, just in longer time horizons. In a year from now, you'll look back at yourself and you'll say, I had this opportunity and I fucked up. In a few years from now, you're going to have a job that you don't like, and you're going to think, there was this thing I could have tried, but I didn't go all in. You're still going to feel the pain when you don't do something, even though today there's no pain. Like, I don't say this to be like motivational woo-woo, but this is the thought that genuinely helped me. When you're not motivated to work, it's not the fact that there's no negative, there's no punishment for not working. It's just that you're not seeing the real danger. Because if you do the same thing that you are always doing, so if you normally don't work when you don't have a deadline, just play that out. if you did it for 100 days in a row, if you did it for 2 years in a row, did it for 5 years in a row, how different would your life be compared to if you actually did it? How much better off would you be? How much better off would your family be? How much better off would you be in social situations when you're able to take the bill of like when you go to a restaurant with your boys? How much different would your confidence be when you're speaking and you know you've built something for yourself? How much different would your mental health be if you know you're not working a job that you fucking hate? All of these things will be better if you work even though you don't feel like it right now. And just thinking about that makes you want to do it right now. But yeah, basically, this is what I call finding your why. And I highly, highly recommend spending some time just writing down all the things that you genuinely, genuinely care about and link it back to your work. So I'm trying to think how in depth I go on YouTube, because this is something I teach to like the boys I coach, but I think because this is on YouTube, I feel a lot of resistance to saying like the darker things. But you can use your imagination. Um, think about the things that you really want, and that includes the things that you would be embarrassed to tell your friends and family about, things that societally might be wrong, but you truly want it. Write those down and find the logical step. So going from editing to the thing you really want, and find how editing allows you to get that thing. And genuinely, you need to genuinely believe it. So let's say I want to, I see my mother struggling with bills, and I want to not have that. Let's see how editing solves that. The way I can stop my mom from struggling with bills and screaming at me because she's not mad at me, she's just stressed, is I can support her financially. For me to support her financially, I need to be making money myself. For me to be making money myself, I need to build a business. For me to build a business, I need to have clients because I need people to pay me to have a business. You're not much of a business if you're not making money. To get those clients, I need to actually like attract them. To attract them, I actually need to create work that they like. For me to create work that they like, I need to actually edit this video right now. If I do not edit this video right now, I am quite literally continuing my mother's pain, and it is my fault. Every single time that I see my mother crying, every single time I see my mother stressed, every single time I see my parents fight, it's my fault because there is a logical path to a way that I can help her, and I am actively sitting here on Twitter scrolling when I know I should be working, choosing to not help her. So that's just one of the ones that I use, and there's like 20 others which get kind of dark. But I highly recommend doing that. Just writing down what are your like primal desires, what genuinely pains you, and what would genuinely bring you the most fulfillment, whether it be a relationship, whether it be status from other guys, status from women, whether it be helping your family, whether it be just feeling like the cool guy in your social circle, whatever it is, write it down and spend some time linking it back to your work. And those times where you're in the trenches, when you're working on a video and you don't really want to do it, those times where you know you have a creative idea but you can't be bothered implementing it because you're not going to get paid any different, those times where the client said, the client would say the video is all right but you don't want to over deliver because I don't get paid enough. Those times you're up late at night and you feel like it's all going to go to shit. This is the stuff that keeps you alive. And this is why I've been able to work for 3 years consistently. I'm only becoming more conscious of it now, but I had these sort of drives when I was younger because my life has changed because of editing. And honestly, I look back at 16, 17, and 18 years older versions of me and I'm like, bro, why the fuck were you working that much? And I look back at the 16-year-old version especially because it's like he had no reason to be working that hard. He had no reason to be like staying up, like, oh, sure he was doing it as a hobby, but he had no reason to be like editing for that long a day. He was fucking insecure all he had up to that point in his life was just academics. Like, oh, and then someone's gonna be like, oh, boo hoo, you were so good at school. But like, I was raised in an Asian household where being academic is just, it's just a given. Like, you're just forced to. You don't have a choice. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't academic. I wouldn't be alive if I wasn't as academic as a kid. But I was so insecure because that was the only part of me. It was like almost my entire personality. It's like, Saif, oh yeah, the guy that's like good at like school. I wasn't able to socialize. I was known as the quiet kid. I was skinny. I fucking hated it. And my way out of that was editing because I would be able to make the money to have some sort of status. And that sounds cringe, but it's like, it's true. You feel like you have more status when you make more money. Um, my friends like naturally like, oh, your friends say, oh, that's so cool, or like people just like, people treat you differently when you're making money, and I don't think it's in like a malicious way. People just find it interesting, and I liked that attention, especially as an insecure kid. um I wanted to go to a gym. I couldn't even afford it. The fact that editing allowed me to afford a gym membership, I mean, it's like, that's why I worked so hard when I was 16, and now I still have things that I am working hard as hell for. Some of them are dark, some of them are nice. So I won't say all of them because they're personal to me, and honestly, they'll be personal to you as well. You don't need to tell anyone why you're working, but just know it for yourself because those dark days are coming. There's going to be a day you don't want to work, and I promise you, it really helps when you have a reason why. So, yeah, hope you found this video useful. No idea if anyone will actually watch this, but I just wanted to say it because it was something that was genuinely on my mind, and I love the idea of me going through a shitty period of my life and then teaching others, so others, hopefully you don't have to go through the shitty periods that I did. So yeah, hope you find it useful, bro. Mwah.